Okay, everybody. Once again, my name is Matt Keenan with HomeSmart. I am not a certified trainer. I'm just going to talk about here about paragraph 7 of the contingency of sale or purchase. In fact, you can look at the form that we're discussing right there. Okay. And it's called the COP form. I discussed in a previous video about paragraphs 1 through 6, and we're going to deal with paragraph 7. Paragraph 7 deals with only if the buyer, only if we'll say that if you have a buyer and they write up an offer on this property, and we'll say then this buyer comes along and they write up an offer giving this seller a backup offer. And that's what paragraph 7 is about. That if you're an escrow and this guy comes along and writes up a backup offer. So paragraph 7 deals with this. And what paragraph 7 says here that it says that backup offers and seller's right to require buyer to remove contingencies or cancel. It says in paragraph 7A, backup offers after acceptance, sellers have the right to continue to offer seller's property for sale for backup offers. Now, I want to pause here really quick because oftentimes what happens is what most people do here in the Central Valley, we deal with MetroList here, is that if I am a seller and what I do is if I get an offer accepted, and if my offer is accepted, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this home up on the market for, it's going to say active contingent. Okay. I'm trying to write on this thing. Active contingent, which is it's the wrong one to write it up on. Active contingent means that if this seller has an offer on another home and then they put theirs up on the market, theirs is active contingent on them closing escrow on this price. Active contingent is not that this seller has accepted a contingent backup offer from another buyer. And so the right status, if this seller accepts a contingent offer, then this seller here, the right status is going to be pending bring backup or pending sale. That's the only two options that this seller has right there. Okay. And so I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that that's typically what happens is that we write offers up when we write offers up, we put on the MLS with the wrong status. Let's see here. Now let's go back to the backup offer. So in this, it says right here in paragraph 7A, backup offers after acceptance, sellers have the right to continue to offer sale for property for backup offers. That means pending bring backup. The parties acknowledge that brokers shall not violate MLS rules requiring accurate property status reporting. So it's not active contingent, it's pending bring backup. Removal of buyer contingencies and proof of funds, unless paragraph 7C3 right there, is selected if seller accepts a written backup offer and provides buyer a copy of the signed accepted backup offer within the time specified. So if I get a backup offer and it's my listing, then I got to go to the primary buyer and tell that primary buyer that I've got an offer. So if this guy writes up a backup offer, I got to tell this buyer here that it's now I now have a backup offer. And this guy here is going to have to go ahead and think about what to do on how to proceed. Now, keep in mind, the BUO, the backup offer addendum, says that any previous offer might be modified. And so if that's the case, that means that if these guys come in higher, then this guy can say, well, tell you what, I'll modify my offer. I will come in higher than this guy. So it's not, so the deal's not over. It's not over yet. Okay. So now let's go back. Hope that all makes sense. Um, and so as we continue on, removal of buyer contingencies and proof of funds, whatever you do, don't ever delete paragraph 7 because you don't like something. Because if you delete paragraph 7, then that means what you're going to be deleting too is that you're going to be deleting the fact that that primary buyer has to remove this contingency, remove the loan contingency, and provide verification of sufficient funds to close escrow. I've seen some agents, what they do is they don't like the fact that somebody checks paragraph 7C3 means during the term of the agreement, and the agreement is referring back to the purchase contract, capital A. So it's referring back to the purchase contract. And if you've got a 30-day escrow, then the 30-day escrow means during the term of the agreement means that if the seller gets a backup offer, this sale cannot be canceled until after the 30 days. If it's a 45-day and 7C3 is checked, then that means that this offer can't be cannot be canceled until the 45-day escrow period. Now, if 7C2 is checked, by default, that's 17 days. So if the seller gets a backup offer, that means that this buyer can send over a notice of buyer to perform, or what you do is you're going to use this box down here on the second page of the COP form. This serves as a notice of buyer to perform. The seller will sign it, give this to the buyer, and now they put the buyer on notice to cancel them based upon paragraph 7C as to what time was agreed upon in this contract. And so let's go back up a smidge. Let's go back up to paragraph 7B halfway down. It's going to say here, well, let's go up a little bit right here. Sellers have the right to give written notice to buyer in writing. So that means to give them notice in writing is going to be just to have them sign this and send it over. So sellers have the right to give written notice to buyer in writing, remove this contingency, remove the loan contingency, and provide verification of deficient funds to close escrow without the sale of buyer's property. Seller use the bottom of page 2 of this form to comply with the written notice requirement in of this paragraph. If buyer fails to complete these actions within 2 days after delivery, because keep in mind, if if they fail to do it within 2 days, then they might be canceled. And seller may immediately cancel the agreement in writing, but they can't just cancel after they discover it. They got to give them notice first. So make sure that you give them notice right. And that when you send them notice, make sure it's going to be in the email address that's on the signature page of the purchase contract. And if the DEDA is that box is checked on the purchase contract, the delivery of electronic delivery addresses, and that means that the agent on the other side has to verify and confirm that they did receive your notice. And so be careful that that box is not checked. So this way, because it's automatically delivered, if that box is not checked and there's an email address in the signature page for the agent of the purchase agreement, that's the address that you send the notices to. Okay, this was just really quick, very brief. Hope this made sense. If not, leave a comment on my YouTube page and I will answer.